Hi guys, welcome back to the course on rules for writing a good essay. This course is presented by me, Palak Sharma, your educator at Unacademy. Here are a few things about me you can have a read and do rate, review, recommend, and share this lesson as much as you can. You can also follow me in Unacademy on this link, and this is me. If you like my courses, do follow. So, today we're going to talk about what to avoid while writing an essay. We have done the do's already. We know what makes up a good essay, we know the components, we know the steps, and we know how to write a good introduction, we know how to write a good conclusion. But what should we avoid? We are not aware of that. So, we can just keep on writing things. But if we also know that what we need to avoid, we can actually avoid those things and make our essay a better piece. So, this lesson is going to tell you all what you have to avoid while you're writing a good essay. So, firstly, avoid the using of the word I. I wala I means me, मैं wala I. It limits your perspective because it makes you it gives you a narrow perspective. It reduces the broadening of your perspective. What happens in this case is the reader thinks that you are just limited to yourself. It makes your essay appears like it lacks maturity. When you're talking just about yourself, you sound immature, you sound too narcissist, the one who loves himself. So don't make yourself sound like a narcissist, and instead sound like someone who's ready to take and imbibe things in him. And for that sake, you need to put different point of views, not just your own. So just don't keep on saying I believe, I suppose, I am aware of, I like to, I don't think so. Don't keep on writing phrases which are starting with I, because when you use too much of I, the reader will gain an insight into your mind where he'll find that you consider yourself the best person to rely on. Don't make yourself and don't give yourself so much importance before the reader, and make sure that you include that kind of phrases which do not emphasize so much on I. You can write in my opinion, maybe, yeah, according to my suggestions, yeah, in my mind I think so. Do not keep on writing I every time, because that will make your essay too self-centered, which is not good for a reader's for from the reader's point of view. Okay, so just avoid using the word I again and again. The next thing which you have to avoid is slang. I just hate when people use slang while they're writing. So your work would appear unintelligent to reader if you keep on using the words slang, words which you use in slang. Do not go for words which are usually considered to be good for conversation. Maybe they are fine while you're conversing, but avoid them while you're writing. There are much more sophisticated words in English language that you can use. So avoid those words which are like very day to day, very much obvious, very much monotonous. Avoid those words. Maybe you can sound cool when you're speaking those words, but do not put them into practice while you're writing, because they make you sound unintelligent, they make you sound immature. Better to use words which are like, they are ample of words in English language. You can always find a new word every other day. In your whole life also, you won't be able to learn all the words in English language. So it's better that you go for some more words apart from those slangs which you use. Next thing that you can avoid, it's going to be the contractions. Now, it's okay to write for contractions while you're writing in a very informal setup. Maybe you're writing in the comment section. Then you can use informal language. It's completely fine. You can use contractions. It's okay. Maybe you're writing a letter to your friend. It's okay if you write in contractions. It's going to work. But while you're writing an essay for some formal thing, maybe you're writing an essay exam, maybe you're writing an essay for some competition, then do avoid the contractions. Contraction makes, again, your essay sound unintelligent and dull. A good example for contractions is like wanna instead of want to, or let me instead of let me. So they are fine when you're using them for informal conversations or informal writings, but when you're writing for some kind of essay competition, avoid them at all cost. Do not use them. That's a personal opinion from my side. Next thing which you can avoid is the logical fallacy. Now, you should avoid writing something that is false or that is lacking in evidence. So, if suppose you have thought of something you think is right, and then you thought that maybe if I write somebody's name, somebody's great name associated with it, then I can make my essay way more. But in that case, it's a logical fallacy. You are using something to strengthen your argument which doesn't already exist. So if you're writing an essay on some political theory and you mention Gandhiji's name with a sentence of your own, then you're actually ruining your own image before the reader, before the examiner. This is a logical fallacy, and you should avoid writing something which is false. And if you do not have evidence to something, then do not simply write it. It's okay if you keep on avoiding writing that. Do not write it with somebody else's name. If that's your thought, write it with your name. Do not write it with somebody. Do not associate names with false sayings. Also, don't use that if you truly want to strengthen your argument, because if you keep on adding fakeism, if you keep on adding fake things in your writing, then slowly and gradually the reader will lose the interest he had in your writing initially. He will be aware that all you're going to write is going to be fake. So even if you're going to write something really true, if you're going to mention some statistics that are correct, he will think that those statistics are also incorrect. Don't do that thing. Do not make some logical fallacies while you're writing. Next thing is over dramatization. Now, there are times when writers have purposely or accidentally exaggerated a sentence. So this makes the writer look very unprofessional and immature, unfortunately. So it's okay if you're over dramatizing when you're writing a poetry, or it's okay if you're over dramatizing when you're writing a drama, literally, but it's not okay to over dramatize while you're writing an essay. Don't make things sound so grand that the people lose the very essence that your writing contains. So if you're writing about something related to independence, don't just go for some very flowery prose, very flowery poetry on independence. It's fine if you just go by the basics. People just want to know that. They don't want to go in deep into your poetic side or your creative side. They want to know the logical side of your mind. So that's okay if you omit the dramatization while you're writing an essay. Don't go for too much drama in your essay. That will reduce the way, again I would say, and it will make you seem or make you look unprofessional, and it will also make you look immature at the same time. So it's bad if you go with that way. Avoid over dramatizing in your essay structure. Then avoid going off into a tangent. Now, going off into a tangent means going offbeat. Write only refined thoughts. Write only those thoughts which you've already filtered from your mind and which have come out to be correct in the present context. Don't write anything that would just keep the essay running. Don't go for simple words. Don't go for simple sentences which will just talk about the same thing in different active passive voice, and there's no difference. You are just keeping on writing the same thing in different ways, maybe using synonyms, maybe changing the sentence structure or anything like that. Don't go for such tomfoolery, because the reader is aware of what you're writing. He can read everything, and he is not a first-year-old or first standard kid who's going to read. He's going to be much more mature than you, and he would be having much more experience of reading essays than what you have of writing. So don't challenge his judgment capabilities. Don't try to question his judgment, and please don't go off into a tangent which is not relevant to the present context. Stay in the circle. Don't go to some other place, because it's important that you adhere to the topic, the thesis statement, and make your essay move around like a caterpillar around that topic itself. Don't go to some offline in that case. Next thing is making assumptions. Avoid it. Even with something that might seem a very common knowledge, never mention it in a way that is assuming. Because you might think that people know, people may actually not know. The reader may not know. If you think that the reader knows who was the first president of the United States, maybe he never read the history of the United States, maybe he never knew. So you just don't think that he knows who's the first president. Don't say that the first president of the United States said this. Maybe he doesn't know who's the first president. Mention his name. Mention it was Washington. Mention it was George Washington. And then he'll be aware that you know. And if you keep on assuming things, it might hurt the readers, or maybe it might hurt the examiner's ego that he didn't know and you thought he knew. So it will again hurt him that how can you be so much narcissist that you think that everybody knows everything. So it's wrong to think of yourself as knowing everything and assuming that the people also know everything. So just let off that assumption, not assume. Let off that assumption, and then move on with what is known to you. Keep on writing those things also which you think to be very obvious to write. Do write those things, because consider this, that when you're writing an essay, you're actually explaining the thing to someone who has never heard about it. So in that case, you need to explain every little detail, every minute thing about it, and do make sure that you mention those things. That's what is important while you're writing an essay. So avoid all these things which I've mentioned. If you'll avoid them, your essay will really come out to be very refined and very pure. So do practice these things while you're writing, and rate, review, recommend, share this course if you like it. Thank you and have a nice day.